Setbacks are what make life challenging. Overcoming them is what makes life worth it. My name's Rick Parsons. I grew up, went to Eastern High School. I went to college. Actually was intending on playing baseball. That didn't quite work out, and I ended up swimming. And then I've always liked competition, especially when I was younger. I played everything just because the more time I spent at practice, the less chores I had to do. So that was a win-win. I always wanted to compete. You know, when I got out of college, I still played City League basketball, softball, played volleyball. I was a competition junkie.
We were very close as a family. My dad definitely helped with that and led our family, and with that I got his ability to want to compete.
I'd had a couple injuries. I've ruptured both ACLs and had to have those repaired. We had an accident in another country on vacation in Bermuda. So we go over there and they say the best way to get around is scooters. And we had gone to the other side of the island. We're coming back with some friends to go eat. It started raining pretty hard, and we come around the curve and a bus came the other way around the curve, pretty much taking up the whole road. And as we're trying to cut it close, this rooster ran out right in front of me, and just like that fast in my mind, I saw me hitting that thing and sliding under that bus. So we hit a curb about that high at about 35 miles an hour. It's funny because how things work out. You know, if you're supposed to be here, you're here. If it's not your turn, it's not your turn. The car behind us was a nurse, a trauma nurse, on their way to work. The vehicle behind the bus was a doctor who had just gotten off work. And 2 cars back was an ambulance that was coming back empty. And the next thing I know, I'm on a gurney. We get to the hospital, which was like 3 miles, and I'd broken 4 ribs, collapsed a lung, and ruptured a spleen. So the emergency room doctor said, there's just nothing we can do. We'll give you morphine and record your time of death.
My grandma came in and said, your parents got into an accident and they don't think he's gonna make it. And immediately I just shut down. I mean, my dad was my best friend, and to think that I could lose him already, it just was not something that I had planned for my life.
And here I am. They were wrong.
Growing up, he would always tell me he was Superman. And you're like, oh, Dad, stop being silly. But after everything that he's been through, you start to believe it. He's my hero.
And then I was involved in a vehicle accident where the vehicle rolled over a couple times, and so we don't know when it happened, but I got an injury that didn't heal back, that I didn't even know was there, and went to bed one night and woke up the next morning and couldn't move my legs. And saw a couple specialists. They go in there and find out that I'd actually severed my sciatic nerve. And so they reattached it, told me I'd probably need a cane for a while, and I'd regress to a walker, and I'd end up in a wheelchair. Then they said the words that you never want to hear, you're done with sports. You got to have somewhere mentally that you can base everything on. Does that make sense? And and Scripture tells you won't be given more than you can handle.
I was definitely not as positive as he was. He was thinking, there's someone out there that has it worse, I'll be fine. I think it was after he had been walking with the cane for a while, and they said, get used to it, you're probably gonna have to be walking with it. And one day he went into church walking with the cane and had a big prayer group around him, and he walked out without the cane and didn't have it since. And that was probably when it started clicking in my mind that, okay, we're in safe waters again.
We have a friend of ours that works at the Shepherd Center in Georgia, and he had said a lot of people do, with these injuries, they do water therapy. So I joined the Y and started swimming. A friend of mine that goes here, he said he used to work with a guy that did master swimming, and I'd never heard of master swimming. But it's competition. So I started swimming in February, did a meet in Detroit in November, and then one of the ladies that works out here at the Y said, hey, there's a state meet for master swimming in April. And I'm thinking, you know, with these times and what I did in November, I could get top 3 if I dropped a second or 2.
So when my mom was out of town and I knew he needed a driver, I automatically volunteered, and I wanted to go with him, and I love being able to see him compete in his element.
Then we went up there. I did 8 events over Saturday and Sunday. I got 2 thirds, 2 seconds, and 4 firsts.
It was awesome that he was competing, but it was funny because usually it's the parent watching the child carry the medals, and so to see it from the other way around, it was funny.
Life's full of challenges. You always have challenges, and I don't know where I'd be today. I mean, I really think if I quit swimming, I probably would start regressing, and I don't want to do that.